Peter David.
Peter David didn't understand... Fuck, I said it again.
This bit on a plane where Peter David... Fuck. The boot spittle, that is Peter David.
And Peter David refused... I'm never going to get this video finished in time.
Here is Hulk 363. Incredible Hulk, rather. Well, not really. This issue is anything but incredible. This is an Acts of Vegans tie-in, but writer David Peter believes he is an auteur whose art is chafed by corporately mandated crossovers. So we have a petty Screed that shows people how funless David Peter actually is. The cover lets us know we have an Hulk fighting great Gargoyle, which could trick you into thinking that you are going to enjoy this. The thing is, I understand a writer feeling frustrated at being obligated to write issues that tie into a crossover. Except in David Peter's entire 150 whatever issue run on Hulk, he only ties into 3 crossovers. This, Affinity Gauntlet, which he makes a mockery of, and Onslaught Man, which of the 3 he plays totally straight, making it apparent he seems to think that that piece of shit is somehow more deserving than Affinity Gauntlets. The thing with Acts of Vegans is that it's not a story, really, at least as a crossover. It was a concept. A very fun, loose concept that allowed a lot of writers an excuse to basically have their title star fight a random bad guy that they haven't battled before. No one was being asked to do any more than that. And David Peter is so far up his own arse, he is reluctant to even allow one issue of his 100 plus issue run be summit besides his own. Our bad guy is Great Gargoyle, and the issue only wants to say how stupid and lame he is. This character who has gone up against Thor and the Avengers, well, he is stupid and lame because he is French or whatever. That could actually be the reason David Peter doesn't like him. David Peter is incredibly bigoted about Eastern Europeans, so maybe it applies to most Europeans as well. There are loads and loads of Marvel bad guys that I would like to see Hulk fight, and I bet I am not alone with that statement. And we only get this one mean-spirited issue of this crossover that is almost built for a character like Hulk. And what we get is just really pathetic, in my opinion. And it shines a light on David Peter as the true fun vampire that he is. He is unwilling to write a simple issue where all he has to do is have Hulk fight a bad guy. He's not been told what to write or how to write it. He's simply been told to write to a simple idea. It's a writing prompt. He has been given a fun writing prompt, and David Peter refuses to even accept that. He has been given relative free rein to transform Hulk into whatever permutation he wants. But should anyone ask him to do one issue for somebody besides himself, then he thinks that is vulgar. My opinion on David Peter is all over the place. I cannot nail down what I think about him most of the time. The closest I have come to a conclusion is that I think David Peter, he can write one great story on every series he's on. But the thing is, he usually stays on that series for longer than one story. And when that great one story is done, you get mostly shit soap opera, one-note sarcasm, and really dreadful ideas like what he did to most the Extra Factors characters. His one great story on Spider-Man is the death of Jean de Woof Woof. His one great story on Hulk was Ground Zero. His one great story on Extra Factors was probably the first one. The rest of what he writes is usually marred by stuff like this. Him having a moan about something. Don't forget, this is a man who stopped writing Hulk's comic in 1997. And then in 2005 wrote the title again and just retconned every issue and story since his last one as not happening and being dreamt up by Hulk. What few strengths David Peter might have as a writer are definitely overwhelmed by his weaknesses and his outright unpleasant nature towards others in the medium. And we took so long to get to this fight because that is the part David Peter is begrudgingly writing. And when he does write it, it's to put his words into Hulk's mouth about the crossover supposedly being the stupidest idea ever. It's not stupid is the thing. The idea of Acts of Vegans was that the villains, they would go up against different opponents that they had never gone up against before. The idea wasn't that they would automatically beat the heroes by virtue of the hero not expecting them or knowing who they are. The plan was to cause confusion and tax the heroes with having to work out how to defeat a bad guy whose weaknesses they didn't immediately know. And Hulk versus Great Gargoyle is a fine combo. Great Gargoyle isn't strong or an actual viable sparring partner for Hulk, but he does have a power that could and should inconvenience Hulk, because overcoming that power should not be a case of Hulk's strength. This issue makes that the case anyway, and to be frank, I still don't know who Frank is, but to be frank, I do not believe that David Peter even understood Great Gargoyle's power. I didn't think he cared. Great Gargoyle He transmutes stuff to stone. He doesn't trap them inside of stone. Hulk shouldn't be able to smash his way out from under the stone because Hulk has been made into stone. I think I know where this comes from. I think I know where David Peter maybe got this incorrect idea from. In Avengers 191, Great Gargoyle transforms Iron Man into stone, and Robert Downton Abbey Jr. is trapped inside that stone because what Great Gargoyle transformed was Iron Man's armour, his outer shell. He didn't transform Robert Downton Abbey Jr.'s actual body. He only transformed the armour. So Robert Downton Abbey Jr., he was trapped underneath that stone armour. I think that is it. I think that is what David Peter misunderstood. And to make a mistake like that kinda makes any criticism of a crossover seem less worthy, less knowledgeable, less valid. What David Peter has done here is almost a precursor to my entire channel. I would never be this petty and insecure though. David Peter hates acts of vegans because it is a crossover. He hates it because he has been told to take part in it. He doesn't hate it because of any of the "it's the stupidest idea I have ever heard" shit that he says in the issue. So if you have ever wanted to see Hulk fight Great Gargoyle, keep looking. This issue is a passive-aggressive bitch fest that makes Great Gargoyle a punching bag with a picture of the crossover logo stapled onto it. I didn't recommend it in the slightest. It should only be of interest to remind you that you didn't like David Peter much. There is added irony in the fact that David Peter scoffs at interference, but he would be such a better writer with other people helping shape his scripts and redirecting some of his ideas. David Peter is a real one-note writer with a lot of nasty habits, but there are a lot of moments where there is actual quality behind some of his writing. This is mostly all shit here, so that is why I'm only giving it 7 thumbs up.